The ripples of the Twitter files may have far-reaching consequences that could potentially even drown the likes of Facebook and Google. Oh God, let it be so. As finally at least one Republican has awoken to the enormous stick he has been handed to beat Silicon Valley over the head with. As Kevin McCarthy here says, through coercion, coordination and influence, the federal government has used Twitter and other big tech as its stick to silence speech it doesn't like. Which, judging by the Twitter leaks we've seen so far, appears to, yet again, be the absolute simple God's honest truth, frankly. We now know that the FBI and the DHS were in frequent contact with Twitter's head of trust and safety before Elon moved in to start swinging the scythe around the office. We also know that the Biden administration, when it was running for the presidency, contacted Twitter with loads of, what did they call them again? Moderation requests. Ah yes, because as we know so very well, the government and politicians, they always make requests, don't they? There's no form of coercion and demand involved there, especially not when you're in contact with the FBI at the same time. Purely voluntary, you see, purely voluntary. But I'd like to plug Reclaim the Net here for a second. I'll leave a link to this article in the description down below, presuming I manage to remember, which we'll go into a little bit more detail on. Reclaim the Net is a lovely website that I highly do recommend you check out. And they point out here that on Fox News, he said, now we need to start looking at Facebook, at Google. These now have become arms of the Democratic Party, arms of the Biden administration. Now, in all due effect, kinda, pretty much, although not straight up. Again, they do cover themselves with a certain amount of legalistic language, like the entire idea of the moderation requests. You might also remember a while ago, during the whole coof pandemic and the ensuing panic, the then press secretary of the Biden White House said this.
Well, first, we are in regular touch with these social media platforms, and those engagements typically happen through members of our senior staff, but also members of our COVID-19 team. Given, as Dr. Murthy conveyed, this is a big issue of misinformation, specifically on the pandemic. In terms of actions, Alex, that we have taken, or we're working to take, I should say, from the federal government, we've increased disinformation research and tracking within the Surgeon General's office. We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation. We're working with doctors and medical professionals to connect to connected medical experts with popular who are popular with their audiences with accurate information and boost trusted content. So we're helping get trusted content out there.
Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds an awful lot like an admission that the White House is currently in active contact with social media to try and police misinformation. And yet, very recently, we heard kind of the opposite.
Twitter, Elon Musk this week fired the former FBI General Counsel Jim Baker, who was serving as a top Twitter lawyer. Musk alleges that he may have been involved with countermanding his attempts at transparency. And I was wondering if anyone in the Biden administration was in touch with Baker, either regarding moderation decisions that critics call political censorship or regarding his transparency efforts recently.
So it's up to private companies to make these types of decisions. We were not involved. I can say that. We were not involved.
Aha, so we go from, yes, we're in constant contact with social media, usually through our most senior aides, and now to, no, we would never do that. I think I've heard something similar. I believe it was in a congressional hearing with Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey, both denying flatly that their platforms had any sort of shadow banning or censorship whatsoever in them. None. Zero zip notes, no. Incidentally, the police really should be heading to their houses right about now, because lying to Congress is actually a crime, but Details. Rules for thee, not for me, etc. And we of course also know that Elon Musk has been claiming that some political candidates running for office were secretly shadow banned on Twitter. Now, he hasn't proven this yet, but if his track record up to this point is anything to go by, he's likely to do so fairly soon. And again, well, we've been dancing around the point of election interference for a while now because, well, it is illegal to talk about it on YouTube, but at some point it'll become a little bit too obvious, in my opinion, to the point where certain terms of services probably will need to be reworded and re-overlooked, because the good Kevin McCarthy here absolutely has a point when he says that they need to look into the other social media companies as well. All of these guys, they share phone numbers with each other. They talk to each other frequently. I mean, you know this for a fact. They live in practically the same goddamn area. And we know they operate in more or less the same way as well. If Twitter has a set of shadow banning tools, you can bet your happy little ass Facebook has an equivalent variant of it. YouTube is going to have an equivalent variant of it. Again, we already know this. Now it's just a question of proving it. And bear you in mind here as well, this is so far just one guy saying we need to investigate this. Now, we have had a lot of investigations, amongst others the lame duck Senate hearing, of course, or congressional hearing, excuse me, where Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg both showed up and said, nah, we're not doing this, chief, and then walked out the building again. It's entirely possible that nothing will come from this either, but it has to do with the political will to do something. Watergate, the biggest scandal in American political history, until the last couple of weeks, that is, that only became a big thing because of the political will to push it through, because, yet again, the people responsible simply just denied it. You'd be hard-pressed to find a political scandal where the people involved admitted to it. Monica Lewinsky one is another example of that, isn't it? And this needs to be more than simply just an investigation here, you know? You can't simply call them into another meeting and go like, so, are you shadow banning? No. Again, you have probable cause at this point. Use some of the intelligence agencies you still have control over, in other words, not the FBI, it appears, and actually seize servers. That's what needs to be done here. This needs to be a far-reaching investigation. Because even on the off chance that this is true, well, you're looking at the potential situation where the entire social media network, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of these major platforms are all doing the same thing. And if one of them is doing it, it's pretty damn plausible that the rest are too, and so action needs to be taken, and it needs to be taken fairly quickly. Now, can it be taken quickly? Probably? Nah, not really. Not unless some serious backroom dealing can be done with the opposing party, at least, because, well, the simple fact is this is a partisan political issue at the moment. The Democrats have very little interest in seeing any further information about this leak out, because it's already rather damaging, as proved by the fact that the House Secretary, or President's Press Secretary, English, apparently has completely forgotten about what the administration was doing during the COVID pandemic. Again, you'll be hard-pressed to find a political crisis where the people responsible admitted to anything, until they were literally forced to. Is that a pretty situation? No, not particularly, but it is the case. Now, I would yet again, though, urge a little bit of caution here. You know, play this a bit cool. Let the evidence mount up. Let such statements as, no, the Biden White House has never done anything like this. Let it build up. Give it another month or so. You're not going to be able to do anything about this for another probably 2 years anyway. But it absolutely should be a platform that they need to run upon. Because, again, you've got the actual evidence today. Use it for what it's worth, and then absolutely go after all of the Silicon Valley companies, because if you don't, well, nothing is going to change. Why would it? They've gotten away with this for a decade plus now, probably longer. Why would they not continue? See, that's a simple question, isn't it? Okay, we know you're doing this, but they'll promise they'll stop, or something like that. Of course not. The other alternative too, incidentally, is that this will start leaking out. There'll be enough pressure building up around this. There'll be the appearance of not enough political will to actually push this envelope to see the markets do what the markets so frequently do. Take a nosedive. Because suddenly, a lot of people are looking at Facebook and YouTube and going, hold on. Yeah, they probably are doing this. And if an investigation seems likely, I imagine a lot of people will wish to distance themselves from these companies rather quickly, in anticipation of a rather, again, sharp dive in their potential value, as the markets do tend to be a bit skittish. Maybe the dream of Elon buying YouTube isn't such a pipe dream after all. That would be funny. Hey, maybe YouTube and not YouTube. Maybe Elon's lasting legacy will not be going to Mars, but rather recovering or reclaiming the liberties of everyone on the actual internet. Wouldn't it be nice if we could all return to early 2000s internet? I think that'd be pretty cool. We'll have to wait and see where this goes. It's entirely possible still that it will lead to absolutely nothing, but at least one person has started to realize what's going on, and hopefully a lot more people will as well, because, once more, we can create all the noise we want about this, and we should, but at the end of the day, this is a political problem for the political class to deal with, as there is, well, no other branch of the government that is equipped to do it. These are ridiculous multinational, multi-billion, if not trillion, God knows it, million-dollar corporations. You're gonna need a very big stick if you're gonna have any hope of dealing with these guys. Though the various non-trust initiatives that were taken under the previous administration might also be gaining a bit more teeth today. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see, but I am becoming cautiously optimistic. We might actually finally be seeing the real results of the tide that we have been seeing slowly but surely turning for a very long time now. And not too soon in the slightest. Till next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.